So right now in the San Diego real estate market, we're seeing a few mixed signals. Typical this time of year, the number of active listings is down. The number of new listings coming on, new homes coming on is actually down as well. Not too different from any other year. One thing that we have seen an uptick in is the time that homes are sitting on the market. The number of homes coming off the market within 2 weeks is actually rising. And so homes are actually coming off a little bit quicker than they have been. Usually towards this time of year, that line's going to trend down a little bit, but we've seen a little uptick. I'll bring up a little graphic so you guys see what I'm talking about. But we got Cassidy on today. We're going to jump in and let you know what we're seeing, boots on the ground, plus a few things with the new real estate rules, but kind of dive in, give you a nice update of what's happening right now in the San Diego real estate market. We are at the beginning of September. I almost said the end of August, but we're in September, guys. So it's that time of year where everybody's back at school. We're coming into local summer right here in San Diego. So as we go through this time, what's happening in the market? Cassie, you're out there. What are we seeing? Just share the story of what we recently saw on a listing that we saw, and kind of what we mentioned before we hopped on is like the tale of two markets.
Yeah, I mean, that's the big thing is we, a week ago or 10 days ago now, had clients interested in a listing. It was definitely clean. I mean, it wasn't completely remodeled, but the exterior is painted. A lot of like the projects and stuff had been done, so it was move-in ready. It was built in the early 2000s, so there were some projects still to do, but it was very clean. It was staged. It looked great, and that's where we saw competition. It ended up being not a ton of offers, only 3, but the quality of offers was way up there. Everything was above list price, and this was around like high 1.3s, low 1.4s is what it was looking at. Our clients unfortunately didn't get it, but what the story from the listing agent was that it was a crazy number. We're curious to see where that does end up landing, but we remember hearing that a lot in 2022 and 2021, finding that crazy number to get something locked in. But then on the other hand, I showed 4 or 5 properties this past week, same price point, maybe even just a tick higher, like mid 1.4s, and those are sitting, and those are not as clean. It needs definitely some fresh paint. It needs some just TLC kind of throughout, and some of the systems too. I mean, that first one I was talking about, the systems were all replaced too: new water heater, new furnace, new AC, all that stuff. Where this one probably in a year or two is going to need a new furnace, new AC, but some of those big projects, we're just seeing those properties sit for 14, 21, even over a month. So it definitely is a tale of two markets for those properties that are completely dialed in versus the ones that need some work.
Yeah, and the ones that came off market in 2 weeks was 44.2%. That was from the Redfin data. And that, like I said, part of the reason that could potentially have happened is because the interest rates have dropped about a half a point over these past few weeks. So we were sitting well above 7% for a lot of this year. And as buyers are out in the market, they're keeping an eye on that. Obviously, if you're in the market, yes, you're running your numbers. The difference between a monthly payment between 7% and 6.5% is not huge, but it is a mental block potentially, where if you were looking a few years ago and you're like, oh, I'm going to get into this house, interest rates were 3, 4, 5%, and it was a competitive market, you didn't get in. Now you've been watching the interest rates over the past few years. Now you're at like 7%. You're like, oh, that's insane. When I could have got it, prices are higher, interest rates are higher. But once it drops into the 6s, it's just even have that 6 handle on it. I think psychologically, a lot of people that have been sidelined, not a lot, but a marginal portion of demand has hopped back in. And as that drops, I think more people will jump back into the market. It was sitting, where was it at? 6.43% as of this morning. So that's just a baseline too. The numbers we're looking at is like, it's just we had Amir on last week explaining it, but it's like really good credit. It's specific properties. It's like not a jumbo loan. So as you're going out there, if you want to chat with the lender, hit us up. We'll get Amir and have that conversation and see what your actual numbers will jump out to be. You can follow the trend. So if you see that number dropping on Mortgage News Daily, then you can expect, rates as a whole to be dropping as well. And so Cassie mentioned days on market as well. Compared to this week last year, the days on market was right around 14 days. This year, we're sitting about 23 days. Over these next few weeks, as we go towards the end of the year. We'll see interest rates are going to play a big part in it, but also have some areas capped out just as like we say on this channel, every market's a little bit different. Every situation's a little bit different. But I'm just thinking in certain areas we keep a close eye on. We have seen some places. There's a little area that we keep eye on, and it had on the same street there was 3 different flips. There was a flip a few months ago. There was a flip like a month and a half ago, 2 months ago now, and then a third one just came on the market. The first 2 sold, so move-in ready, about the same price point. Little bit different style, which I think had something to do with it too. But the first 2 moved within that first weekend. The second one moved within that first weekend. The third one has been on for, I think, just checked this, about 40 days. And so that's been sitting. The next door neighbors came on as well, not fixed up. It's just kind of not original, but it does probably need some work. That one's been sitting for about 3 weeks. So some areas we are seeing a little bit maybe less demand as opposed to certain areas and certain price points. So it really definitely varies. As far as the new real estate rules, well, like I said, we're working with this as they're coming out. If you guys have seen articles, maybe you haven't seen anything, drop us a comment down below. If you haven't even heard about the new rules, how buyers are potentially having to work with agents, all that kind of stuff. There's some different changes than things we had done in the past. But as we're out there, Cassie, writing offers, have we seen any change? Or I know we've seen change. How has it been different when writing offers out there?
So, I mean, that was the big, I guess, kind of positive, writing an offer. We didn't get kickback on asking the sellers to pay for buyer's agent commission. The new rules kind of just in general is we have to have an agreement with our clients, our buyers, that says that we'll get paid a certain amount of commission. It doesn't mean that the buyers are automatically paying for it. That's a big maybe misconception from all of the stuff that's happening. It just means that we need to get that compensation somehow. We obviously will do whatever we can to get it paid from the selling side, which is how it's been done forever, or since 1992, whatever it was. It's just we're doing it in a different way now. But like I said, we haven't got kickback from the listing side yet, having to negotiate that even. I think it's going to be kind of a learning experience and a learning curve for everybody. And that might be also why the market's been a little bit weird the last 2 weeks. Just everybody's trying to feel that out and try to see what it means as a buyer, what it means as a seller, what it means as agents. I think that will kind of figure itself out, and then we'll be kind of back on a good loop.
And we'll continue to keep you guys updated. As we get a little more data from the field, we'll report back here and make a full video and let you know exactly what we're seeing. But since it's so fresh, the data pool, people we're talking to, we're getting all that info. But it just, I think we need a really clear picture. Yeah. Going forward, as we're going into the latter part of the year, typically we see the market slow down a little bit. We see less buyers out there. We see less sellers out there. We're going to jump into, since you have the crystal ball, what do you think is going to happen going towards the end of the year? And with buyers and sellers, what can they expect? Should somebody wait till next year to put their home on the market? Should buyers wait? What are we thinking out there?
I mean, I think it's kind of a tale of two, just like we were talking about earlier, 2 scenarios for sellers. If you're in a desirable area and your house is dialed in, get it on the market. Like this, there are people out there looking. There is competition. If you need to do a whole bunch of work but are debating whether you want to do that, I'd suggest doing it, just because it's still a seller's market, and it's going to be a seller's market for a while. But that kind of the other side of the coin there, where if a property isn't dialed in, it's sitting. Well, there's your answer. Like, you get your home fixed up, get it clean, make that curb appeal perfect. And I mean, that's a big thing. If you want to sell your house as is, I'd suggest waiting maybe till the beginning of the year, just because we're seeing a lot of houses just sit that need a lot of work. On the buying side, if you're thinking
real quick
about
on that, before you move on, you mentioned it's still a seller's market. I'll bring up the market action index, which I've shown you guys on this channel before, but it's just a gauge of how's the market. That 30 mark is where we start skewing into a buyer's market. Right now, it's still sitting above 50. So I'll bring that up, but it is still trending down a little bit, which is to be expected with just towards the end of the year with buyer demand a little bit subdued. But that's a good indicator of, where we are.
And then on the buying side, it's really dependent. I mean, a lot of our clients that we're seeing go all in and are buying are renting and in a scenario or in a situation where they have to buy. So, I mean, obviously it's different for everybody, but there's opportunity, especially if you're okay doing some work. Like our last few clients haven't had to completely remodel houses, but they've had to replace carpet and flooring and do termite work, things like that, where they didn't have to compete with 20 offers or 5 offers like in this maybe more normal market now. So if you have a little bit of vision, obviously Chris and we have a lot of contacts and people that can help get these things done. A lot of our clients aren't even here and are getting it done, and we're helping them take care of it. I think now is a good time to buy if you've got a little bit of just looking for a little bit better opportunity and have some time and means to be able to get some work put in. And then it's also just dependent on your life situation. There are talks, there have been for a long time, but there's a chance that interest rates go down. Is it significant amount? Maybe. But it does seem like it is trending in that direction.
Yeah, and that leads us into every situation is different, like Cassie just said. So if you guys are thinking about making a move, whether it's next week or next year, we are a real estate crew right here in San Diego. So all of our contact info is right below. We'll get your questions answered. We're no pressure, no hassle. Just reach out. Like we got your back, guys. So feel free to reach out with anything. Even if you just want to drop a comment down below, we'll get that answered for you. So feel free to reach out because we got your back when we make the move here in San Diego.